Peace and blessings at
Peace
Cabo.
and blessings at Cabo.
Everybody.
Awo Duduwa Mokaro Jire.
Ashe, this is Awo Ifa Jaminire.
And I am Awo Ifate Gunshe Osadele.
And you were tuned in to the best podcast on the planet.
On the planet, Let's
Talk
Ifa.
Ashe, why?
Ashe, why?
Alafi, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Greetings. We are here once again, my brother.
Yeah, man.
We are here for the people.
It's just us today.
Us today?
Yeah,
well, sometimes it has to be us.
Oh, yeah.
Because we do have a lot to share.
Oh, man.
And we have to have our time
Too
to
much
share.
to talk about, I say.
Too much to talk about. So what do we have in store for our people today?
You know, it was interesting on the way here today. Me and my brother were having a conversation and talked to many people about this topic, about, you know, you don't have to worry about somebody attacking you or cursing you or enemies or anything like that. As long as you're taking care of what you're supposed to take care of, you know, as long as you're handling your business spiritually, and maybe some people don't understand what it means to do that, right? So we'll cover that today, but that's the topic, is that relax your mind, you know, keep your mind at ease, because, you know, when you give that a lot of thought, you know, like we were saying earlier about, you know, your enemies, and now you start thinking about your enemies, and now you're apprehensive, or you're anxious, or you're, you know, fearful, or whatever. That destabilizes you from your foundation, you know, and you just go into a whirlwind from there.
Because enemies, you know, an elder told me, she said, and this was an elder, Ianifa, and it was a talk, it was a conference call, and we was going over the whole thing about enemies, and, you know, why so many people always, when they go get the divination, it's always like, I got enemies, Baba, I got enemies, Iya, what can you do to get rid of my enemies? But one thing you have to realize is, when you come into this world, you come with enemies.
I say.
When you come to the foot of Ifa, and Ifa says, this person is going to be great, you're going to do great things in the world, that comes with jealousy and envy. It's part of the whole plan.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of the program.
As long as you are following your blueprint, your destiny that's laid out for you, you don't have to worry about enemies, as long as you do what you need to do spiritually for yourself,
right,
and physically and mentally for yourself. You don't worry about the enemies, because that will be handled. Continue to do the things that you're supposed to do. Reach for the great things that you are destined to reach for. Enemies is just part of the plan.
Yeah.
It's all part of the corpus.
That's part of life here. And people have different destinies, but there's nobody that has a destiny here on earth that doesn't involve any enemies, or, you know, people that are going to be jealous of you, or just friction, resistance, you know, in general. It'll be different, but for different people, in the way that they encounter it. But at the end of the day, we all gonna have, I don't care if you've never done, you know, anything to anybody, you know, stuff goes back to your last life, as far as karma and things that you're dealing with in this life that go back to your last life. So you might say, well, you know, I'm the nicest person, I never done anything to anybody, and I don't know why. You're not just talking for this life. You know, you got to go back further than that.
You got to go further. And I think fear is something that was pushed on people, on humanity, by the powers that, as they say, by the powers that be, to stay in power.
Yeah.
That they use the power of fear, and they put fear into people. So This whole thing when people say I got enemies and they scared and they don't want to move forward with their plan that, that they were given from heaven.
With their destiny.
With their destiny, it blocks some people. People don't want to go but so far because they fear. They fear wealth. They fear prosperity. They fear all the array that they're destined to have because they don't want to deal with the issue of having enemies. And so what that does is that locks people away. People become self-consumed or self-absorbed, and they become loners onto themselves because they fear moving forward. For example, there's there's fear of witches or what they say that Awani Yawa. That's a big thing. But as we know, the Awani Yawa is a neutral force of nature. As long as you are appeasing the mothers in the spiritual and you appeasing the mothers in the physical.
I say.
That's why, you have to appease women. Because women get that thing as being witches, and but men are men can be a trip too. But it's always a thing with the women. But we know that with women, for men, women test us. Women actually help us to become patient.
I say.
And so as long as it in the Odu Odimeji, there's a verse that talks about when Orunmila had to make Eba for peace because the Iyamis was on his trail. He had to make the Eba and Odimeji to have peace of mind. And so that verse, and in that verse, it teaches us that women, the feminine power for men, it's their job. It's kind of like their job to test us. Yeah. And we just have to work on being patient. They test us. Each test is it's designed to see how far, to see where our character is at as men.
I say.
And so, and in the opposite way around, men do challenge women in a way. And so this whole thing that we have in the world today, when you have, we see it in our community, in the African American community, there's a separation between African men and African women because it's a fear. Women don't want to go but so far when it comes to marriage. Women don't hardly want to get married anymore. Men don't hardly want to get married no more because that whole fear thing. And we know where that comes from. And so our culture teaches us, this is why, we have a culture that teaches us how to deal with those situations of fear, situations of issues in your marriage. We had elders back in the days. We had elders that counseled a married couple when there was a clash, or when there was they wasn't getting along or they wasn't seeing eye to eye. You went to the elders. But now, what do we have? There's really no, you have elders, but some of the elders they lack the understanding of how to to socialize with young people. Yeah. So this whole thing with
it's
this
a lot
fear
of confusion.
thing,
it's a breakdown. The fear, going back to, what we were talking about. That's very prevalent with a lot of people. It manifests itself in different ways, but, we get calls, all the time about people, they think somebody's attacking them or they have enemies or, it's the Iami or it's the Ajogun. But to be honest, it's probably, I would say probably 7 out of 10 times it's not. It's not anybody even issue. The problem is you.
Yeah, a lot of times it's
a lot of times most of the time when people come in,
paranoia.
Sometimes, there could be an element to that. It could be true. It does happen, but the majority of people that think it's happening to them, that's not actually what's happening. Like you said, it's you are the Ajogun. You
Onto yourself.
You got to check. You got to look in the mirror.
And that happens when you don't have a direction or you don't know who you truly are. That's why in Omokarojire culture, we have Ifa. Ifa tells us who we are and why we're here. And when you know that, you know how to move in the world.
Yeah.
And when you know how to move in the world and you confident and you know your blueprint, everything else that comes with it, it becomes a challenge, and you know it's a challenge. And so you do the necessary things when those challenges come. You just do the necessary things to overcome those obstacles versus someone who don't know. When you don't know, you become more, it's easy for you to become fearful. It's easy for you to become paranoid. I mean, these things happen to people at a young age. Like, for instance, you have people, they experience some heavy spiritual energy at a young age, and they don't talk about it because they're afraid to say anything to anybody because they think somebody is going to look down on them or they're going to call them out, a name that, doesn't fit them. But, and see, those are the things that we have to, with our youth, those are the things that we have to really start, like spirituality is very important. Culture is very important.
I say.
Science is very important. They need to know these things so that they don't have that fear. They know who they are.
Yeah, it's so many different distractions and things to try to keep us, to knock us off of our square, meaning that having, peace, being having your mind be at ease, just simple things like that. There's so many distractions to that. And some of it is, you have the fear, and then you have the lack of either faith or knowing or the courage to say, if Ifa says, don't be revengeful against somebody or your enemy or whatever, you have to actually trust and believe that the spirits are going to handle it for you. Because if you don't, it creates this this perpetual thing in your mind, like, of fear, or where you're scared of what somebody is. You think somebody's doing something to you, or you're scared of what they might do to you. And it's like, you also have to really trust and believe that, the Orisha and the ancestors, whoever's involved in the situation, are actually going to take care of it for you, like in real life, like for real. So, because if you really believe that, then you wouldn't be so worried. You wouldn't be so focused on your enemies or who's trying to do something to you. Your mind could be at ease, and you could focus your attention and your time on what you're doing in your own spiritual practice to make sure that, you're protected from those things. But
and you're not focusing so much on what somebody
you're giving
saying,
it energy,
what somebody is
feeding
doing, or somebody can be somewhere actually doing something to you. But if you focus all of your mental power on that, you're actually empowering it. Or Shetura says that there's no bad medicine that can defeat the Ori.
I say.
So as long as your Ori is in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing, you don't have to worry about who's shaking a rattle in the corner on you.
Yeah.
Or who's sprinkling something in the corner on your picture or on your doll. You don't, because your Ori is more powerful. But there's been so much fear pumped into people. One of the things is this whole thing with voodoo, how that was started and how they made what they call black magic look negative in Hollywood. That put fear in a lot of people, especially African-American people.
Till today.
And
it's just an energy that is neutral, like you said. What you do with it depends on your character. It depends on your Iwa Pele or your Iwa Rere or your Iwa in general, your character, right? So, yeah, the EIMEs, they do things to people. Yes, they can. You have different types and different groups and all of that. So, the same with the men, with the Osho. You have
Osho,
witches, you have wizards, you have some that are positive and some that aren't. So
they just exist.
That exist. You know what I mean? But if you just walk around and fear all day about something spiritual or physical, it will start to, subtract from your spiritual power. It depletes you, right? And you're feeding the very thing that you don't want to happen.
Yeah. Sameji says your best friend can be your worst enemy, but you can be your own worst enemy.
And most of the time, that's what we see.
People are their own enemies. And I think that kind of gets in with Egbe a little bit. That whole reflection thing is like you don't know who you are. And so that's why they say, look in the mirror.
You got to keep it real with yourself. Know thyself. That's the most powerful statement. Man, it's like, it's everything. You know what I mean?
You know yourself. You king on your destiny.
Yeah, be real with yourself. Fear. So you don't lie to yourself and you don't mislead yourself.
Right.
A lot of that, people undo themselves within their own framework of their own existence. You know what I'm saying? We all have our own little internally. Yeah.
And your as they say, the Ori Inu, the inner head is the most powerful head there is. That's your higher self. So if you're internalizing things, constantly internalizing the fear, you are your own worst enemy. Self-destruction, as they say.
You might be one of the ones that
self-destruction.
You never take accountability. You might be that type that
like you said, it's different levels.
Yeah, it's always that shoe or the EIME or the Ajogun, but you're not taking accountability for what you did or didn't do that caused it. What was your part in the situation? You know,
most of the time, when you do have witches that do attack in the physical, you might have a woman who keeps the child away from the father.
I say.
That's a form of an attack on the father. But the father has to be strong enough because it's a test.
I say.
It's the witchery inside her testing her. The opposite way around. The father can take the child from the mother. The mother has to be strong enough and understand that she's still a mother. And she has a strong connection to that child.
Yeah, because some people forget,
You do what you need to do to try to balance the situation out. Yeah. If you're not willing to do the work of balancing the situation out, and I'm talking about when you have couples that separate and one takes the child and try to keep that child away from the other parent. When those things happen, you gotta be willing.
So yeah, like we were saying, some of these women, they kind of checked out. Some of the women don't want to be mothers. Of course, we got, some of our brothers, they don't want to be fathers.
Lack of training.
Lack of training. Here we going back to the culture. We don't have a cultural paradigm where everybody grows up and is taught, young men are taught and trained how to be fathers and how to be husbands, and the girls, the rites of passage, the young women, they not learning, nobody's really actually sitting them down and teaching the young women and the young men how to be men and how to be women. You may get it, you may not. It's not, we don't have any institutions that ensure that we get that, because public school is not gonna, ensure that you get it. It's more of a grandmother, great-grandmother
public school
era.
To me is where the fear starts.
Oh, yeah.
Is where they pump the fear in. You got these drugs they give these kids.
Yeah. That's a whole
You
separate
got-
episode.
Yeah, you got
We got
all
to
of
get
these
Dr.
things
Umar on.
that pumps fear
Mm-hmm.
into the children that's in these public schools. You know, it's so much. It's like, you know, you got security guards. Everything is just tight, but there's no education on these young men and young women learning what it is to be a man. You don't have that in school.
Nah,
what it
you
is
don't.
to be a woman. What are the things that men do and the things women do? But now you can have a trans in school that can go to either bathroom.
Yeah.
You know,
That's not even safe. Like the
That-
day that I
that's
have
not
a
even
daughter
safe.
and I got to deal with that, I really don't want to deal with public school now. You know what I'm saying? But, you know.
that's where the fear starts. The bus look like a bus that carries prisoners. The schools are fenced off. It's like you in a prison. When you go into the classrooms, it's set up like prison system. The lunchroom is set up like where the prisoners go and eat food. It's you know. So all of these things, I think it begins the fear. It's a tactic to put fear in people. You know, so when they become adults, they lost. They out here just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And they dealing with all of these challenges. And if you have no sense of spirituality or spiritual guidance, then paranoia starts to sink in. If you have no culture, you know, you just roaming, you know, you roaming around.
Yeah.
You know, and then sickness settle in and all of these things because you're lacking, you know, understanding of who you are, you know, but fear has got you.
Yeah. That's the biggest enemy, you know, fear, because once the fear creeps in, then you have confusion, and then the confusion leads to everything else, all the other, you know, negative emotional states, you know, the aggravation, the anxiety, the you know, all of those things, and it all starts with that, you know. So just talking about enemies, right? You know, all those things are our biggest enemies. Those things that we just talked about, the fear and all those things, not the external, it's the things that are in us, that are within us, that we have to deal with when it's just, it's just you and you. It's just you talking to yourself, and you know, those are the enemies that we have to defeat. That doubt, that little, you know, doubt that creeps in your mind when you get a glimpse of your destiny, and you kind of, you know, that voice will come, and you know what I'm saying, or somebody might have something to say slick. You gotta be, you have to have a strong mind and thick skin to be able to deal with that. And I think maybe when we were little, that's what the whole Dozens like, when we used to joke each other and talk about your mama and all that. We was amongst friends. We were building each other up. You had to be tough.
Right.
You can't do that now.
No,
These kids, as soon as you yell at them, or they be ready to shoot you,
or
go cry. They don't know whether the cry will shoot you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it messes with their ego.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't scar their ego, so now they're ready to. But it's emotion.
They're so delicate.
It's emotion.
Yeah.
It's too much emotion.
Yeah.
It's too much emotion.
Enemies. And emotions can be your best friend or your worst enemy, right?
Yeah.
We talking about enemies.
You gotta
stop
have
worrying
balance.
about the girl, the lady you done took his boyfriend, or the girl that you think that don't like you at the job, or whatever. That should be the least of your worries. You need to get with the enemies that are within you. And once you fix that, anything outside of you is irrelevant. You know, our enemies will only be able to watch us shine and see us succeed. You know what I'm saying?
They should be able to fuel you. Your enemies should be able to fuel you to keep going up.
Yeah.
To keep elevating up. They use your enemy, or those who are who don't agree with you, or those who talk about, when you hear those things, such and such was talking about you, use that as a tool. Let it fuel you to progress forward.
How about this? How about, let me take it a step further. Our enemies are actually here to make us better. How about that part?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But
all the time.
If you don't, if you can't vibrate high enough, if you can't raise your frequency high enough to understand that thought process, then you will continue to suffer on this earth because you don't understand the basics of mechanics of universal law, natural law, knowledge of self. You know what I'm saying? Religion ain't gonna teach you that. You know, we're not talking about religion.
Religion puts you in fear.
Yeah. That's one of,
There's a devil.
Has us at odds with each other. You know?
You're going to go to hell. All that is fear.
Yeah.
The devil going to burn you when you get to hell. You're going to burn in eternal hell and eternal fire. That's fear.
Yeah.
That's fear. That puts fear in people.
Yep. So.
And so people are so timid to do certain things because they can say, "Oh, I can't. The devil gonna burn me, or the devil gonna pull me down under." And that's the tactic that was used to put fear in people. You have a destiny. You are here to perform great wonders.
Walk your path.
Walk your destiny, and don't be in fear.
Right.
Of your destiny. Because some people are fear, some people out here are afraid of responsibility. That's another level.
Yeah.
They are afraid. And when we say afraid of responsibility, being responsible first for yourself.
That part.
Why are you afraid of being responsible for yourself? You afraid of taking care of yourself? You shouldn't have a fear of that. You should be able to walk your path and not worry about who's on the side of the road trying to manipulate you off your path, because that's a natural thing.
Yeah.
When you on the right path, there's always something on the side of the road that's going to try to pull you off your path.
Oh, yeah.
The more higher and elevated you go up that ladder, is always a test and a challenge. Don't look at that test or that challenge as an enemy. Look at it as a test. And you're going to be disciplined enough to ignore whatever is trying to pull you off your path.
Yeah, you just hit on a great point, because, that's another thing. A lot of people, they'll be presented with a certain situation that's, let's say, it's not pleasant, right? We humans, and it's not a pleasant situation, but some things can be avoided by us being on top of our spirituality. Some things we can't avoid. It's part of our destiny, and we have to use those experiences, even though they may not have been good experiences. We have to know how to use those experiences to learn from them, to make us better, to grow from it and come out, on the other side, because the choice is up to us what we do in that situation, whether you win or lose, and whether you let this thing knock you down and keep you down, or whether you let it, you learn something from it, right? And you move on, you keep it moving.
I say. And, those who are focusing so much on you and what you're doing and how you're doing it, the jealousy and envy, they are not doing their job.
Yeah, they off track. So don't let them pull you off track.
And they off track because they lack the responsibility of doing what they supposed to be doing.
And let's face it, some people
and
just
they want
don't
you
have
to be
good
with
character.
them.
Some people just got bad. Everybody didn't pick a good Ori.
Ori Buburu.
It's LetsTalkIFA full of stories that say, look, right now, the earth, the world is full of bad people.
Full of bad.
It's full of wicked people. Like, how many people can you really trust to, around your kids or your wife or your husband, or give a key to the house, or let them hold some money? Like, good people are few and far between, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, we out here, but it's a whole lot of other type of folks out here.
I had a challenging year this year. Was a challenge for me dealing with, the whole thing of enemies and, trying to put fear in me and all of them. This year, it was like, I'm still here.
I say.
I'm still standing strong. Matter of fact, I'm stronger
I say.
because of the discipline. I had to discipline myself
Eni suru babaiwa.
not to launch back. You know what I mean? With you know, that EY and that discipline, you know, that my elders were hard on me about. I'm still here standing, so I give reverence and say Iba, and salute all of my elders that have transitioned, that have taught me some things.
I say.
Taught me a lot of things, and the ones that are still here. You know, we give reverence to them because, you know, as a child, you don't listen, and you know, you buck, you know, the wisdom, but then when you grow and get to a certain age, you really start to realize what they've taught you. But one thing, you know, it's in you, and I know, you know, it's in all of us, but we just have to recognize when, because attacks are true.
Yeah, it does happen.
You know, the attacks are very, very true, but those attacks, when they attack, is attacking you to see if you're going to be afraid. If it notice that you have fear, then they're going to go all in.
It's like one of the old dude from Hirosu Meiji. It says, you know, there's no need for fear. Just make the required, sacrifice, make the required ebo that you need to make, and follow your taboos and all your spiritual instructions. Keep it tight with your ancestors, and you don't have to worry about, you know, the problem will be taken care of. But do we really have faith in that? I know so many people that they get spiritual work done. Yeah.
Because another part of that says, you know, and Hirosu Meiji says, when we're born into the world, we come with positive forces and we come with forces. And these forces, their job is to make sure that you do not stay on your destiny. That's the job. They're like the Ajogun.
They the testers.
You know, they
the test. They the people that, yeah, that's all the tests.
But your positive forces, if you appeasing your ancestors, your Egbe, your Orisha birth, your whoever you initiated
your
to,
Ori, whatever.
Your Ori, then that's fueling those positive supporters to block the negative ones, or the ones that's trying to
help you through it, because we can't do it alone. That's the other thing, is that a lot of people are trying to do this alone.
We don't walk alone,
and you can't do it.
Don't walk alone.
Yeah, you can't do it.
You know, your taboos is another thing that helps you.
Huge.
Because when you break your taboo, you're weakening yourself.
I say.
And you allowing those forces that's trying to block you on this earth from your accomplishments, you allowing them to, you giving them strength when you break your taboo.
Yep, you opening the side door. Yeah, you let them slip on in.
Slip on in. Yeah. And then their thing is to hit you with fear. Once you get hit with fear, you go under.
Yeah.
You know, you become blind. You don't know your path anymore. You don't know where you at. You done gone astray.
Yeah. And now you blaming all your hardships on all the enemies when really the problem is you.
It's you. Or you blaming it on some family members or somebody up the street that you think that's doing something. But you got to, I always tell people, look at yourself first. What are you doing? What are you doing?
That's the first thing.
Why do you think your Ori sent you to Ifa? You lucky that somebody told you go get a reading. That was your saving grace. Some people don't have that. They just walk in fear, and there's nobody to put something in their ear to say, go see the Babalawo, go see the Ianifa, go see the Babalo Risha or Ialo Risha. They can help you. You know, some people don't have that. But those, you know, when they in that fear and they have somebody say, well, you know, you feeling that way? Well, I'm going to give you the Babalawo's number. Let me call this Baba. He'll help you get back. You know, those, you are very lucky. Very lucky.
It's your ancestors that put those people in your life to
Yeah.
link you up with a
link you
Baba
up with a Baba or
Baba
EI.
Larisha, Yala Risha,
To help
Yadifa,
to
Baba
put you
Lao,
back
somebody.
on to put you back on track. You know, but fear is a big thing now. You know, it's happening on so many levels in the world. This thing is global.
Yeah.
You know, people don't talk to each other no more. You remember them days when you can go to your next door neighbor and say, "Can I borrow some sugar? Or can I borrow some butter? Or can I borrow some rice? Or some grits? Or some oatmeal?"
Because we don't live in communities. You don't speak to your neighbor. You don't care about your neighbor. Y'all don't. You just in and out.
It's a fearful thing because people don't socialize no more.
It's part of this microwave society with the smartphones. And like you said, we got all this technology, but people go out to eat and then they all just looking down, you know, everybody.
They're not talking.
Everybody's distant as they ever were.
I saw that today.
You know?
Went out to a little restaurant and I just started looking around. Everybody was like this. And it was people sitting together,
but they
wasn't really socializing.
Yeah.
They'll say da-da-da-da-da, but then they look back at the phone.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, whoa, you know, what's going on here? Technology.
Yeah, so it's deep. You know what I mean? Even technologies, it can be an enemy or a friend. You know, it just depends on your experience with it.
Yeah, how you use it depends on
the whole concept of, enemy is really a it's interesting. It's really a human construct because at the end of the day, if you have a somebody that is a so-called enemy, then like I said, really, it could be a person, it could be a sickness, it could be, whatever it is. Like, it helps us to understand that we are spiritual beings here on earth having an earthly experience. And if you think you're going to walk around down here and just ignore the spiritual part, then, boy, you're in for a rude awakening.
You're in for a ride.
You're in for a rude awakening.
Rude awakening.
And you can't half embrace it either. For some people that come to IFA, they go to, Andy Logun or Risha Priest or Babalao, Yanifa, whatever, and they get the information. And
people
then they
pick and choose today.
They pick and choose which part they want to listen to, or what part what they want to do. It doesn't work like that. I tell people, if you are coming for Idafa, for Ifa divination, if you're not serious about doing the sacrifices, then it's better to just not even do it.
Don't even get a Dafa.
Don't even do it.
Don't get a Dafa because it's designed to help you.
Yeah.
But you have even out here, even in relationships, there's a fear that and I see a lot of women with this that are in relationships or marriages or just seeing somebody, they have a fear when they have a fear when they man go and hang out with the brothers. Hey, you have a fear of it. What is he doing? And then you have brothers do the same thing.
Yeah.
When the wife go out and hang out with the sisters, they're like, where's she at?
Yeah.
I wonder what she's doing.
Yeah.
They'll even go to the extent of going where she at just to make sure she ain't doing nothing.
Yeah,
so that's another form of fear. So then you're damaging a relationship that can be great.
Yeah.
You're messing it up.
Yeah. Messes up the energy.
Because you done conjured something in your mind.
That ain't even happened
because of a fear.
That probably will never happen.
That would never, probably.
A lot of people, I know, especially a lot of our sisters, but I mean, I'm sure some brothers too, but a lot of our people are overthinkers.
Yeah, they think too much.
You can, listen, that is the worst prison to be in, is to be in the prison of your own mind. When you constantly overthinking and overanalyzing and coming up with these situations that in your mind that what you think is going to happen, and it's always all the way to the left. Like, it's the most negative thing you can think of. And that thing hasn't happened yet, probably won't happen. Like, you are... It is really detrimental to your spiritual energy, to your vibration. You know what I'm saying? To your development, to your growth, and to your relationship if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're doing that all the time, you know what I mean? Like, it's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, we just need to work on ourselves. Everybody has different things that we need to work on. All our so-called enemies within ourselves. If we just all work on that, 9 times out of 10, you won't have to worry about any external enemies.
Call it self-actualization.
I said, why? Internalization.
Comprehension.
You know?
Yeah.
All those things.
Yeah.
That's why reading and comprehension is so important. So many people, even adults that can read something right now, but really, did they really understand what they read?
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, that's deep. So, you know, this episode, you know, we just wanted to chop it up a little bit, talking about enemies and fear based on some of our experiences that we had and as priests or just in life in general, you know. Don't give in to fear. You know, and don't conjure up an enemy that's really not there. Look at that's the bottom line. Some of the summary, the points that you can take from this conversation today is, you know, look in the mirror first.
Look at yourself first. You know, look at yourself. And, you know, a message to everyone out there in the world, you know, pick yourself up. Look forward. Continue to elevate yourself. Fear is going to follow every time you are moving up. The energy of fear is going to be right on your trail. It's designed to do that. Remember, it's a test. Enemies are here to test you.
To test your will.
Use the enemy and the fear as a fuel to go up.
Right.
Not down.
Not to stay down. Not to dim your light, because if you shine your light too bright, you scared that your enemies might see it and they're going to attack you and they're going to do. You got to have faith. Do you believe in your ancestors or not? Do you believe in Ifa and the Orisha and Eshu and Egbe or Lodumare or not? That's what it is going to boil down to, because I'm going to tell you it's real. Like, me personally, I'm beyond the point of faith. Like, it's been so much with me and my family, and I've seen so much and experienced so much. I'm in the state of knowing, like, I know.
Listen, I'm with you, because as I said a little earlier, I went through this year has been very challenging for me. But guess what? The blessings came right on time.
Right on time.
It came right on time. Why? Because of EY. Not falling into the trap. And Olodumare said, I'm going to give you this. You passed the test. You passed the test, so this is the blessing. Believe in Olodumare. Remember, Olodumare is in all of us. Your Egbe Orun is in all of us. Your Orisha of birth, your Orisha, your ancestors. Like they say, you are your ancestors and your ancestors are you. So continue to empower yourself. Continue to have that faith. Continue to have, you know, that willpower to continue to move forward. And remember, fear and enemies are just a part of the design.
It's part of Eliaye.
Use it to fuel.
It's part of Earth. It's part of this physical experience that we having. You know, use it as fuel. So, you know, we're gonna go ahead and sign out. We appreciate everybody that's tuning in to the greatest podcast in the planet. I am Awo Ifa Jaminire.
I am Awo Ifa Tegunshe.
And you are tuned in to Let's Talk Ifa. Odabo for now, everybody. Take care. Ashe.
Odabo.